What's
No.
your read on why so many black men, Hispanic voters have found in Trump something to admire, something even to vote for?
Well, Madam Editor, I'm glad you asked me that question. For me, the Democratic Party emasculates black men. And I think Hispanic men probably feel the same way. And I say this because they weaponize identity. When and where we enter, who we are, how we identify is important to who we are, just like our fingerprints. But if you're not going to use my identity to advance a social justice cause, and you're just going to use my identity as a blunt force object, now I got a problem. And so what the Democratic Party does, they put black women on a pedestal and they say, we're the mothers of the movement, or we saved the party. But
Sound like Umar Johnson to me.
yet you don't put forth policies that save black babies. You don't put forth policies that deal with the maternal death rate of black women and black babies in the United States of America. You don't do those things that lift and edify. Yes, identity is important. Both parties use it differently. Republicans use it to say that everybody black or brown or of a mixed race is somehow kind of way a DEI hire. They use it to say certain books will be banned. Don't tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth about how this country was formulated, because you might hurt a white child's feelings by saying that, yeah, chattel slavery existed, and oh, by the way, white powerful folks stole the land from the indigenous people. So all of those things, Chinese Exclusion Act, I mean, we can go down the list. But Democrats use it in a way that alienates other folks, and it offends me. So when I talk to black men across this country, they don't see themselves in this party. It's one thing to recognize the power and prowess of black women and the sacrifices that we make. It is another thing to put us above black men. The black struggle, black men and black women have to be together. We don't have the luxury to be separated, and so I resent the Democratic Party for doing that. And so black men do not see themselves in the party. That bravado, because we got a kind of masculine energy, and masculine energy is not all bad, but the type of bravado that Trump puts forward is still very much rooted in a hierarchical patriarchy, and a lot of men gravitate to that.
And I don't necessarily disagree with anything on the surface. I'd have to deep dive a little bit more, simply because I don't necessarily identify with the whole using my past to justify how I feel about my future thing, as far as how she described the Republican Party and the history behind how certain things are portrayed in the media in order to make sure that they pacify other people, such as white kids and things like that. Because I think that at some point, you have to let go of the whole slavery conversation. It doesn't mean that you don't recognize history to make sure that we pay attention so it doesn't happen again, but we don't have to weaponize it in order to justify our decisions that we make on a regular basis. Conversely, I 100% agree with her when she said that the whole logic behind the Democratic Party is to pander to women. That's what it really comes down to. The Democratic Party panders even though they don't give you anything. And the reason why she used the example of babies, which then ties into the whole Planned Parenthood pulling up to the Democratic National Convention and doing what they wanted to do, because we know that that is marketed. Look, I'm in Detroit. I'm in one of the blackest cities in the United States of America, and it has been in my lifetime since I've been born. I'm 42 years old, right? And right up the street, 3 blocks down, 1 block over, is a Planned Parenthood location. Right outside of downtown, right? Because that's where my office is. That's where my studio is. It's right up Woodward in Midtown. For those of you that are in the city, it is right up Woodward in Midtown. And I can tell you that the majority of people that stop by in those circumstances, in those situations, are black people. Now, I think that there is a bigger debate and a bigger conversation as far as what constitutes, because we also need to solve for single baby mamas. And it's not just a matter of education and contraception, because there's so many different forms of contraception, but we have a cultural problem and a cultural issue. However, when you see these legislators, specifically on the Democratic side, pandering to women in order to enable them to continue to do what they want to do instead of giving them the truth about what's best and then adjusting for and solving for the core root of the problem, like they say that they want to do in a lot of these communities, especially when they say that they're underfunded or there's gentrification or there's a lack of resources. You know, they don't want to address the home prices and the cultural issues that ultimately, in a lot of instances, are self-inflicted, but then we have to leverage our tax dollars in order to save people from themselves, which I don't believe that the government actually has any real vested interest in doing that. But Democrats just want to maintain power, and that's why they pander to a specific demographic of people while empowering a new demographic of people and new voters so that they can keep themselves in power. They don't do anything for you, even though you align yourself with people based off of identity. In addition to that, she's 100% right when it comes to the emasculation of men, specifically black men and Hispanic men, and men in general, because we all know that there's a certain demographic of men that's going to simp out no matter what. So they don't really care if they emasculated or anything. But we know that there's a demographic of men that are emasculated from the Democratic Party, and they pander to women because they understand the dynamics of our households and the cultural norms, which then is going to feed to them getting the votes, regardless of the fact that they're not doing anything for the community itself. And black men do understand, resonate with, and they see a party leader, right, in Trump that says what he means what he says, and regardless of whether you agree with him or not, you understand exactly what you're getting. Us as men, we're not as emotional as women. Or at the very least, we don't let our emotions dictate our actions. So we can see a person and we understand that we don't 100% agree with everything that they say, but we know that this part is the thing that's going to affect us the most, and we may agree on this, so we're going to make a logical decision, and we also understand the root causes and the issues and the core things that we need to solve for so that we'll have the best opportunity for our children, for ourselves, and our families, which feeds into the idea of why Democrats pander to people versus black men actually seeing themselves and looking at things logically, which is one of the reasons why we tend to go away from the thing that we're taught culturally to vote off of based off of identity politics, and we start rolling with the thing that we can identify with the most. And that is much more exhibited in a Trump. It's a reason why Trump was loved by black people prior to him running for president of the United States of America, both black women and black men. And he didn't become the enemy until they basically marketed him as the enemy. So then all black people turned on him until they started realizing, wait a minute, we had it better in 2017 and 18 and 19 than we have it right now. I think that she's absolutely right. I did a little bit of research as far as trying to figure out exactly who Nina Turner was. And I can't even believe that she's a Democrat. It says that she's a Democrat on her platform when I started to look her up and research her. But I'm curious as to what y'all think. Do y'all agree with her 100%? Agree with her 50, 75% as far as her talking points? Do you think that the Democratic Party is emasculating to black men and that they pander to black women and that they don't really add any value into our lives as far as how it is that they're going to help you, help yourself ultimately become the best version of yourself by achieving that American dream? Y'all let me know inside of the comments. Make sure you tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. We're doing some phenomenal things. We got Stock Club. We got the real estate stuff going off, popping off. We got the individual videos, the meetups, all of that. And so if y'all not a part of a group of people that's going in the direction that you want to go in, make sure you tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. Also on top of that, Teach Henley, 40% off your first order, 20% off of life. I love you guys. I appreciate y'all. I can't wait to read y'all comments as far as what y'all think about this video. And I think that it's a broader conversation that needs to be had. Although I'm not sure that we're willing to have that conversation because we're not willing to face the truth. We're not really willing to get down to the brass tacks of things so that we can solve for the real issues, because it would cause too much disruption amongst ourselves, similar to what I see happening with the gender war. Y'all let me know what y'all thinking inside of the comments. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. I'm going to holler at y'all later. Peace.